So the story begins with a couple. Sasha and her husband love rock climbing challenges. They want to scale a very difficult, vertical mountain in Norway. Sasha's husband has already attempted it once. However, Sasha has failed several times, and now she's determined to summit it. They have all the safety measures in place for climbing this vertical mountain. They even have a hanging camp so they don't have to climb back down if they get tired, but instead, they can rest along the way. In the morning, Sasha packs up her tent and starts trying to climb the mountain sideways. But every time she reaches a certain point, she gets stuck and falls. Her husband tries to convince her to take a break, but she's adamant. A storm is also approaching. The emotions at this time make her unable to make any decisions. At this point, her husband, after much persuasion, sets up the tank and they rest, deciding that as soon as the storm passes, they will resume their attempts to scale the mountain. Sasha reluctantly agrees, but her passion refuses to abate, and her husband senses something untoward. His heart is filled with fear. Looking at his lucky compass, he momentarily feels as if this is his last journey, his last climb. But he shakes off his thoughts. Moments later, the storm intensifies, and their clinging onto the mountain becomes even more difficult. He realizes they must descend, or they could lose their lives. He grudgingly persuades Sasha, saying, "For now, we must descend. This peak isn't going anywhere. Tomorrow it will still be here. You can come back tomorrow and climb it." Sasha still refuses, as going down would have wasted so much of her hard work. But Tommy promises that tomorrow he'll support her and help her climb up to this point, so she can use her strength to climb the next hill. After hearing this, Sasha reluctantly agrees, and they pack up the tent and try to descend. The storm's winds were extremely strong. Even hanging on, they were facing immense difficulties, and it was already getting very dark. The troubles weren't enough when the mountain started crumbling and falling down. Seeing this, Tommy becomes extremely frightened and tells Sasha to descend first. Sasha climbs down and takes cover under a large rock. But Sasha's husband is unable to escape. Large stones fall on him, and he loses his balance and falls down. At this moment, Sasha's non-rope was in Sasha's hand. Sasha held on tightly to her own rope. But this way, she couldn't save both of them at the same time. If she had held on to her husband like that, the falling stones would have hit her as well, and she would have been unable to control herself, and both of them would have died. Moreover, her husband was not speaking at this time. She couldn't understand whether he was alive or dead. For a moment, it occurred to her that he might be unconscious and could be saved through rescue. But what if he was dead? In such a situation, shouldn't Sasha save her own life? She had only a few seconds to decide. Finally, with a heavy heart, she let go of her husband's rope, causing him to fall down the hill. And that's where her story ends. As her husband fell, Sasha's harness also came loose. She was about to fall, but she saved herself by grabbing onto the rocks. What happened next is not shown. The scene cuts from here and shows us a scene 5 months later. Here we see Sasha back home, deeply saddened and filled with guilt over her husband's death. Since that day, she has completely given up mountain climbing and is trying to move on. But this guilt is holding her back. Now she decides to embark on another adventure where she can go alone and make memories. All her previous adventures were with her husband, and those memories were holding her back. Now she wants to make memories with him. While her passion for mountain climbing has waned, she still has her husband's lucky compass. Sasha plans to venture into a forest, and a forest officer warns her not to venture into it alone. The forest is full of ferocious animals, and many people who venture into it never return. He also shows her missing person posters. But Sasha wasn't ready to listen. Anyway, she gets herself registered and sets off. A short distance away, she finds a store where she needs supplies. Inside, 2 boys start harassing her, and then Bun, who had come there to supply Jackie, enters. He scares the 2 goons away and helps Sasha out. As a thank you, Sasha buys Jackie's packet. It was dried meat, which would come in handy in a difficult situation. When she gets back into her car, she discovers that her car's GPS has suddenly malfunctioned. She's surprised that it had been working perfectly all along. Bun is sitting in his car. He sees her, worried, and asks what's wrong. When Sasha explains her predicament, he gives her a road map. It's a map of the forest. Within this map, he shows her two routes. One route allowed her to reach her destination easily and was quite easy. The other was much more difficult and long. But the good thing about it was that it offered her many adventures and a wealth of sights. Ben said, "The choice is yours. Which route do you take?" Sasha thanked him and continued on. She had decided to take the longer route because she also loves adventures. When night falls, she stops along the way and sets up camp. But even there, she encounters the same boys who were harassing her. Shocked, she locks her car. When she doesn't respond, they leave, leaving her to sleep peacefully. In the morning, she takes a small boat and sets out on the river for an adventure. She sails the boat for a long time, and when she reaches the riverbank, she sees some strange things. There were many people's belongings lying around, along with pictures of the people whose missing pictures she had seen inside the forest station. She didn't pay much attention to these things. By now, she was quite tired. So she parked the tent here and went to sleep. A little while later, she woke up to an unexpected noise. She felt as if someone had come near her. She stepped out of the tent and saw that someone had indeed come and stolen her bag and run away. When she tried to go inside the tent, she saw a huge snake there. The sight frightened her. Because of the snake, she couldn't even pack her things. So, she took her boat and started back from here. A short distance later, she saw a cold camp. She decides to go there because she no longer has her backpack, leaving her without the supplies to survive. She wanted help. She was overjoyed to discover that the camp belonged to none other than Bun, whom she had met earlier on the way. Zane warmly welcomes her and tells her not to worry. Sasha tells him that all her belongings are lost. He comforts her, saying some wild animal must have taken them. He grills her fish and feeds her, and they begin a conversation. Bun asks her how long she's been hiking in the jungles. Sash replies, "It hasn't been long." She wanted to hide her true identity from him, saying she used to mountain climb. However, she's shocked to hear from him that Bun already knew about her mountain climbing. At this point, she begins to panic, as Ban remembers more than just one thing about her, and Sasha begins to understand that Ban isn't actually her friend, but her enemy. He's trying to target her, and Sasha couldn't quite grasp this. The GPS malfunctions as Ban suddenly arrives in the car. Then Ban gives her a long route. Sasha follows that long route to here, and sees missing people's posters along the way. She's convinced Ban must have done something to her. She wasn't sure yet. He could be wrong. But then Ban brings her own bag and throws it in front of her, and Sasha realizes that everything she thought was true. Ban had set her up as part of a plan. Before Sasha can think anything else, he brings a crossbow and turns on a speaker. He tells Sasha to run as far away as she can until this story ends. "I will hunt you, and this is my favorite game. I've put some supplies in your bag that will be useful to you. But remember, you won't be able to go very far." Without a second thought, she picks up her bag and runs away. While trying to escape in her small boat, she panics and turns in the wrong direction. There was a waterfall ahead, and she falls down it. In the process, she loses her boat and is injured. But she hasn't gone far from the forest. She quickly gets out of the river, changes her clothes, and as she starts running again, she hears a family calling for help. She follows the sound and finds a phone playing on it, a video of a family who had come to the riverbank. Just like Sasha, she was trying to have fun and becomes the forest's prey. The forest had set the phone as a trap, and he himself was standing behind her. Seeing this family, Sasha remembers that this is the same family whose missing posters she had seen. Ben had hunted them down as well. Seeing them, she realizes that Ben is a very cruel man. Ben, who had been aiming near the trap he had set, fires his crossbow, and Sasha ducks, avoiding the arrow. Staying here would have been even more dangerous, as Ben would have come closer and fired the next shot. Sasha runs to save herself, and Ben continues to fire arrows at her from the top of the hill. She manages to dodge them, just as she was about to take cover. But before she could, Ben's last arrow struck her leg. She was injured and fell, stumbling. Unable to control herself, she eventually fell into a river. The river also contained large rocks, which struck Sasha's head, severely injuring her. But to save her life, she barely managed to stay conscious. Using all her courage and strength, she pulled herself out of the strong current and finally reached shore. She still had Bun's phone in her hand. She could have called for rescue, she could have done many things. But unfortunately, the phone was broken and damaged. Now she sat there, took a moment to catch her breath, ate, changed her clothes, and then started running again, knowing Bun was still after her. This time, she was running between two rocks. As she went further, the rocky path ended, so she climbed to the top of the rock. Previously, when she was running downward, Bun was watching from above, making it easier for him to aim. Sasha felt that now that she was at Bun's level, Bun would have a slightly more difficult time spotting and aiming at her. Using her binoculars, she sees that her boat had landed right here, and she uses them to look for Ban, realizing that Ban wasn't far from her. He knew this forest very well. He always used shortcuts to reach Sasha's destination, where she struggled to reach. Before Sasha could understand much or choose a path through the forest, Ban spotted her, and in her panic, she dropped her binoculars. She couldn't go far, so she acted smart. She went inside the cliff she'd landed on, hiding under a stone. Ban couldn't find her, saving her life for the time being. After Ban left, she slowly climbed out and, stealthily, reached Ban's camp. She thought Ban wouldn't be paying attention to his camp, so he wouldn't catch her there. But she was utterly shocked by what she saw there. Ban was bathing here, seemingly in a relaxed state, as if in no hurry or confident that Sasha wouldn't slip away. Sasha cautiously enters the water and slowly approaches his boat. She wanted to escape with his boat. But she fails to do so, as a twist is revealed. This was all a plan concocted by Ban. He knew people might think hiding in an enemy camp would save their lives. That's why he had set several traps here, and Sasha gets caught in one of them. She flutters as she gets caught in the trap, alerting Ban to her presence. Ban immediately pulls on the rope, trying to pull her out of the water. Meanwhile, Sasha quickly takes out pepper spray from her bag, sprays him in the eyes, and tries to free herself and escape. Meanwhile, Bun also washes his face and returns to normal. He pulls Sasha's rope again, and Sasha picks up the pepper spray. But she sees that Bun had also picked up his crossbow before her. He tells her to throw away her pepper spray, and Sasha is forced to comply. As soon as she throws the pepper spray, Bun opens her trap. She was surprised. This time, Bun didn't hit her. She was confused. She asks, "Bun, are you playing a game with me?" Bun laughs and replies, "No, this isn't a game. This is a ritual." He then ties Sasha's hands and feet to a tree and tells her, "Look, it's your choice to come here. I showed you two paths, one easy, one difficult. You chose the difficult path yourself and came here. If you had made the wise decision and taken the shortcut, you would have reached your destination by now, and I wouldn't have done anything to you. All this is happening because of you. This is a hunting ritual. You were my prey, and you yourself came and fell into my trap." He ties Sasha here for the night and keeps talking to her. Sasha, drenched in the rain, even becomes very ill. But Ban shows no mercy and tells her that rituals are very important. "I am helpless because of my rituals. These rituals remind me of who I am. He tells her that he belongs to a tribe that endures immense pain to become capable of hunting. We endure immense pain, and after suffering, we sharpen our teeth to make them sharp so that we can easily eat our prey. At this moment, Sasha understood from his words that he belonged to a cannibal tribe. That means he's going to kill and eat humans. Anyway, the next morning, he takes Sasha on a trip in his boat. He tells Sasha that Sasha's arrival here wasn't a coincidence. He had planned her arrival in advance. He explains, "I've been looking into you since you enrolled at the forest station to work here. I found out you were a mountain climber, and then you left after your husband died. What happened during that time?" Sasha tells him it was just an accident. But Tommy refuses to believe her. He teases her, harasses her. He claims she killed her husband. Sasha doesn't say anything, and then Tommy tells her, "I know your husband was a very skilled mountain climber. It's unbelievable that he died in such an accident." While Ben was talking, Sasha's attention was drawn to a metal rod lying in the boat. She was about to pick it up. But Ben saw it again, and due to Sasha's bad luck, she became a victim of Ben's brutality once again. Ben threw her into the water and tied her with a rope. He dragged Sasha underwater throughout the journey. Sasha suffered numerous injuries during this process. Sasha was unable to control herself because she was tied to the rope and her movements were moving with the boat. Finally, when they reached their destination, Sasha's condition deteriorated significantly. Finally, Ben took her inside a cave, where Sasha was stunned. All the people whose missing posters were posted inside the forest station were dead there. Ben had stripped them naked and hung them, and their bodies were covered with salt. Ben was actually drying these corpses so he could sell their dried meat. Now Sasha realized the jerky she was eating wasn't animal meat, but human meat. The thought of this made her nauseous. Sasha became extremely sad. Ben then tells Sasha, "Our tribe believes that if you like someone's soul and want to keep it with you forever, you have to eat their liver. You know, to keep my mother's soul with me forever, I killed my mother first and then ate her liver." He also shows her her mother's dead body, and Sasha is amazed at how innocent he is. He tells Sasha, "You're very courageous. No one has ever given me as much courage as you did for as long as you ran away and as tough a time as you gave me. I liked your soul, and I want to keep it with me. That's why I'll kill you first and eat your liver." At this point, he also shows Sasha his teeth, which he had sharpened like a cat's. While saying all this, he was preparing to kill Sasha as well. As he approached Sasha with a knife, Sasha bit his ear hard to cut his liver. Breaking her ropes, she escaped. Sasha wanted to continue through the water. She jumped into the water, but later realized that her rope was still tied to the bun, and the bun was following her. She cut the rope with a rock and freed herself from the bun. Once freed from the bun, Sasha began swimming at full speed. While the bun had fallen down a waterfall, he soon fell unconscious. After hitting his head on a rock, giving Sasha another chance to go further. Here, the bun's unconscious body floated up, lifeless, and Sasha realized that he was unconscious. She was about to finish him off by throwing a stone at his head, but suddenly, Ben regained consciousness and grabbed him. He brought him to the shore and began strangling him. Sasha was about to die, but suddenly, Ben spontaneously took pity on him and released him. He even revived him himself. At this point, he would have done something to him again. Sasha seized the opportunity, threw him aside, and picked up a stone and broke his leg. He was writhing in pain, unable to move. Sasha, too, was exhausted by the entire battle. She had been wounded several times. She wanted to escape, but after just a few steps, her courage failed, and she collapsed. Night fell shortly after, and they both lay there, just a short distance away. At this point, Bun lay clutching the knife tightly in his hand, knowing that he no longer had the power but was now Sasha's prey. Previously, Sasha had been silent and he had been telling her whatever he wanted. Now, the whole situation had been reversed. Sasha began telling him a story, saying, "You know, on the day my husband died, I was the one who insisted on hanging on to that mountain. Then, when the storm came and we were coming down, my husband's rope was in my hand. I didn't know if he was alive or dead. If he had been alive, I could have saved his life. But to save my own life, I let go of his rope. I still don't know if he was alive or dead that day. But to this day, I'm still haunted by the guilt that I'm responsible for my husband's death. As they talked, morning arrived, and Sasha made a deal with Bun. She told him that it was a vertical cliff. It's difficult to climb up here. But climbing up here will cover the entire forest path in just a minute, and I can't do it alone. If you come with me, I'll spare your life. Otherwise, I can do it alone. But it will take me a little longer, and I'm in danger from you, but I can wait for you to die because your leg wound is very bad, and an infection won't keep you alive for long. Hearing Sasha's words, Bun felt scared for the first time, and he agreed to a deal with her. But on one condition, she wouldn't let him fall like her husband. Sasha agreed and began climbing. But Bun wasn't sure of her. Once high enough, she tried to manipulate her harness to make Bun fall, and Bun sensed this. To punish Sasha, Bun pulled on Sasha's rope, leaving her dangling. At this point, he tells Sasha, "The next time you try to make such a mistake, I'll throw you down and kill you." But Sasha tells him, "You misunderstood. I was just trying to set the harness. If you let me climb up, I'll be able to take you up." Climbing up, Sasha had reached the same point she had never been able to cross. She had never been able to cross such a cliff or hill, and that was her weakness. Even today, she comes here and sits down first. After which, she ties her harness to a branch of the tree and then begins to loosen it. In fact, she was planning to throw Bun down, and Bun understood this. Bun wanted to throw her down with him. But before he could pull Sasha down, Sasha releases her harness from the tree rope, and she falls down, killing Bun in the same way her husband died. The danger of the forest had passed, as she knew it wouldn't survive a fall from such a height. Exhausted, she sat down on the rock, knowing it would take a lot of courage to cross it. Her harness had fallen with the forest. Now she had no safety net. If she hadn't made it across the cliff today, she would have lost her life. This was the courage she needed. In an effort to save her life, she scaled this difficult cliff and finally climbed to the top, breathing a sigh of relief. At this moment, she was filled with many emotions: joy, victory, the success of a failed endeavor, and most of all, the joy of saving her life. She was happy, but she also realized that the danger hadn't completely passed. She was still deep inside the forest, and it would take even more courage to get out. But after overcoming so many difficulties, luck was finally on her side. An oncoming vehicle spotted her, and she was rescued. Upon reaching the forest station, she tells everyone about the tragedy in the forest. She also tells them about the forest and the gate where she kept all the dead people. Previously, people had considered this forest dangerous and had stopped coming here. Today, the mystery of where those who went inside disappeared is revealed to them as well. All the bodies are rescued, along with Sasha's. As she leaves, she casts all memories of her husband into the ocean and decides to move on with her life, the life she has now found after so much struggle. And with this, the movie ends.